wanted to know whether your creation model makes any provisions for what people would typically call evolution, which is change over time, descent from modification. And if you expand that perspective, I know you're focused on the origin of man, but whether that can be expanded to other species as well if you're talking about special creation instances.
Sure.
Thank you.
With regard to our model, we take the view that while we would allow for variation within a species, what's commonly called microevolution, and there's of course a debate as to whether that's a legitimate term or not, and we would allow for some level of speciation, but we would reject macroevolution where evolution has true creative power or potential. That's just simply the perspective that we're approaching it from, and so our goal is to develop ways to evaluate whether or not that's legitimate. But that we would invite people to come to the table with other models that might involve maybe a bigger role for evolution than we would allow. And again, we would just simply say, if you do so, let's figure out how we can test that. But from my perspective, while I'm skeptical of macroevolution, my skepticism largely stems from what I see to be some significant scientific problems. And at one point in my life, I was very much an evolutionist in how I approach things. And so it's really, even after initially becoming a Christian, while I would have looked at the origin of life as being miraculous, I would have argued that evolution was the explanation for life's history. So I was a theistic evolutionist of sorts. And it was really about 10 years ago that I kind of went back and revisited that and found that it's primarily, there's some key scientific problems that caused me to reject macroevolution. But I would also point out that I think it's possible to be a Christian in every sense of the word and view evolution as being a means by which God created. I know many fine Christians who take that viewpoint. So I don't think evolution is the determining factor as to whether or not you have membership in the club, if you will, right? I think, that there are many people who look at that as being a possibility. And I think that that's a legitimate option that needs to be explored in what we're doing here. I'm just personally skeptical that evolution accounts for life's history in that sense.